And that has always been our issue with pre-order in the past is people don't want to wait. I mean, we're used to Amazon, right? You order something, it could be at your door that same day. And I think what do they call that? The McDonaldization of society, just this fast food mentality of like, I need it and I want it right now. But I think that, as the slow fashion and the slow living movement is becoming more and more popular, people are just becoming more comfortable with waiting, which is so great on so many levels. I mean, we need to slow down. We're going at an insanely fast pace and it's not good.
Welcome to Business with Purpose. I am your host, Molly Stillman, and this show is all about bringing you the stories behind the brands, the companies, and the small businesses that are changing the world. Each week, I get to sit down with an incredible entrepreneur, business leader, community activist, author, speaker, or just an incredible person who is trying to make a positive impact, not only through their personal life, but also with their career. My goal is to show you, the listener, that no matter where you are, no matter what you do, you can make an impact. My guest this week is my dear friend, Bethany Tran. She is the founder and CEO behind the Root Collective. She calls herself an accidentalpreneur who believes passionately in the power of business and consumers to change the world we live in and to make it a better place. The Root Collective is arguably my favorite shoe company of all time. And Bethany has been a dear friend, and she was on the show all the way back at episode 3. So she's one of the original guests. And I am just so grateful that she was able to join us again and to give us some updates on where things have been for her in the last 6 years. And the Root Collective has made some pretty big changes in the last year or so, changing their business model. And I am just so excited to have her on the show, and you are just going to love her. She's such a delight, and you're going to love this conversation. But before I get to my conversation with Bethany, I want to thank our partner of the show, and that is Mama Suds. Now, if you've been listening to the show for any amount of time, you know that I love Mama Suds. I have had the head mama, Michelle Smith, on the show back a couple of years ago, and we have personally used their products in our home for years. I mean, they have clean, non-toxic, safe products for your bathroom, your kitchen, your laundry. And here's what is great about them is not only do they smell great, are they non-toxic, do they use clean, safe ingredients, but they actually work. I love their shower steamers, their hand soap, their natural all-purpose cleaner concentrate, their body wash, toilet bombs, the Castile soap, you name it, we've used it and we love it. And again, it actually works. So many times I feel like there are companies that have clean ingredients and then they don't actually do what they're supposed to, but no, not Mama Suds. So I want you to try them out. Go to mamasuds.com and use the coupon code Molly, and that will get you 15% off your order. That is mamasuds.com. Use the coupon code Molly, and that will give you 15% off your order. Now, on to my conversation with my friend, Bethany Tran. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a very special day because I have a longtime friend, a dear friend, and one of the OG guests of the podcast, my dear friend, Bethany Tran, is here with me today. Hi, friend. Thanks for being here.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. So for the listeners, this episode is 319 that you are currently listening to. My friend Bethany was guest number 3. She was episode 3 back in September of 2016.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which is over 6 years ago now at this point. And you were one of the first people when I was dreaming up this podcast. And my husband was like, all right, you have to make a list of 10 people that you're going to reach out to and ask them to be on the podcast. And I was like, well, Bethany's number 1, obviously. So you were the first person I asked, and you said yes to my crazy idea. And so thanks for being there then, and thanks for being here now. And I'm so excited for you to kind of just give us an update. And there's so many new things that I really want to talk with you about, and why obviously I wanted to have you back on. But also, oh my goodness, I can't believe I almost forgot this, is you are now unofficially / officially inducted into the Two Timers Club on this show, which is it's a very exclusive club. I've discussed with previous two-timer guests, maybe getting velvet jackets.
Like, you should. Oh my gosh. Can they be purple?
Yeah. Yes, obviously. a la like the SNL 5-timers club. Like when somebody hosts 5 times, they get inducted and they get like a velvet jacket. I'm thinking that people who come on 2 times should get a velvet jacket. But until I get velvet jackets made, for now, it's just a bragging rights thing. So
I'll take it while I wait.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So I would have been so embarrassed had I not addressed that you're now part of the exclusive 2-timers club. I mean, you're in great company. I mean, Sharon Hottie Miller, Daniel Grothy, Mary Morantz, and Liz Bohannon are part of the 2-timers club. So
Man,
it's a great group.
it really is.
Okay. So Bethany, as all of my 2-timers do this, it is give us the Bethany 201 instead of the 101, which you gave us the first time. So give us the Bethany 201. What has been going on in your life? Just a few things since the summer of 2016.
My gosh, 2016, we were the Root Collective, which is my business. I don't think we weren't even 3 years old at that point, and we're coming up on year 9 now. So it's been, there's been a few things. There was running a retail business with a product that people need to wear to leave the house during a pandemic. That was super fun. Became a mom during that time.
Yes, little Crosby. Oh, he's the best.
Crosby, cutest little peanut. Yeah, we've been oscillating between like survival mode and like killing it, sometimes in like the same week.
Yeah. Often the same day.
Yeah, that's business in 2022 at this point.
Well, okay. So for people who may not have listened to that first conversation with you and maybe are brand new to the Root Collective, give us an update or just kind of a 36,000 foot view on what you do. And also I really want to get into the change in the business model, which is one of the things I wanted to talk with you about. But obviously, if anybody knows me in real life or follows me on the Instagrams, you know that the Root Collective is essentially, other than farm boots, about the only footwear that I wear. So yeah, it's a problem. And by a problem, I mean, it is great. And funny enough, just at church yesterday, because I've also gotten all of my friends addicted to the Root Collective, which means that me and my friends almost have all of the same pairs of shoes. And my best friend Megan and I often dress alike, and it's not planned. Like we don't, but it is a regular occurrence where we will show up wearing, if not the exact same thing, like pretty close to the same thing. And yesterday we both walked into church in dark wash jeans, cuffed at the bottom, with our gray Espe boots. And then we both had like long drapey cardigans on. I mean, it was like almost, and the funny thing, we also have very similar colored hair. And there have been multiple times where my husband has been like, I almost slapped Megan on the butt because I thought it was you. I'm like, please don't slap my friend on the butt. Thank you very much. Anyway.
I feel like she would be okay with that.
She probably like, would turn around and be like,
all right, it's John.
Oh, anyway, but yeah, so it's just an amazing footwear company. But yeah, so for people who are not familiar, tell us what makes the Root Collective different.
Yeah, so we work with small batch makers in Guatemala. We really started out of I don't know if realization is the correct word, but I had spent a lot of time in a slum community in Guatemala and just, I guess, realized that like, hey, every parent deserves the right and the dignity to be able to take care of their kids, like with a job.
Yeah.
And so having spent time in Guatemala, which was really my first introduction to a developing country, and just realizing how underemployment, not even unemployment, because most people have a job. It's just they're not making enough money to, like pay the bills and put food on the table.
Right.
So having access to a well-paying job was it's kind of an important thing.
Yeah.
And so I had spent time going to Guatemala for, I think it was like 3 years before I finally got the guts up to actually like do something about it, and had gotten connected with a shoemaker. I have no background in shoes besides wearing them. I had no background in product development or anything like that. Honestly, like I was a marketing person. That was what I did. But I was in like B2B services, like, which is a totally different beast than doing like, B2C e-commerce, very, very different. But as any good entrepreneur, I didn't let my ignorance stop me from doing something really stupid, like starting a business. So, yeah, we launched in 2013. And at the time we were doing a whole bunch of stuff. We were doing bags and jewelry and scarves and shoes. We only had, I think, like 4, maybe 5 pairs of shoes to start, and everything else was like a bajillion other things. And one of the best pieces of business advice I ever got was you have to pick one thing. And at the time I'm like, no, you don't. Like, you don't have to pick one thing. It's fine. Let's do everything. Until I realized that like the reason people say that is you can't do everything and do it well.
Yeah.
And my husband picks on me because like my favorite saying has become niche is rich and broad is broke, which is also really good business advice. Is just niching yourself down into something. So over the course of the first, I think, 1.5 to 2 years that we were in business, we ended up niching down into shoes, not on purpose. It was just the thing that was working, probably because really almost nobody else was doing that at the time in the fair trade world.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing jewelry. Everybody was doing bags. Scarves were easy to find. All the other things that we were doing were, pretty easy to find with other people who were doing it very well.
Yeah.
So we ended up niching down and have become known for doing pretty cute shoes. Again, all handmade in Guatemala. And like I said, we're coming up on year 9.
Yeah.
In a month, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Still here.
Well, I mean, I was first introduced to you, within the first year after you launched. I mean, I still have my original pair of blue Gabby flats with the like plastic soles. I had one of the original, like the woven zipper clutches, like zipper pouches. So, I remember like those early days, and then I remember I was a model for one of your early shoots with Taylor and Emily, and it was just, oh my goodness, it was so much fun. And that was, some of my earliest, introduction to you. And then you and I very quickly became friends. And so it's been an honor and just a joy to watch you grow and your business grow and evolve and change. And like, if the Root Collective of today saw the Root Collective of, 2013, 2014, I almost think that you wouldn't recognize the two.
No.
And I think that speaks so much to a testament of your leadership, but also your grit and your ability to, the word of the last few years has been pivot, and which I just think we all need the Ross Geller shirt, like pivot. And it's to grow and to evolve and to know when to leave something and know when to stop something. And I know that there have been tears shed and hard decisions made over the years. And that, comes with a lot of challenges. And so it's been, like I said, it's just, that's my encouragement to you, is that you've, the way that you've done it has been with such grace, even though I know as your friend that there have been times where it has not felt that way.
Thanks, friend.
You're welcome. But one of the things that I really wanted to address kind of here at the beginning is how the pandemic affected your business and how you guys made a pretty big move in the last year, really. And essentially completely changed your business model. Because there was definitely a time you wholesaled, to retailers, and then you were doing, e-commerce and pop-ups and markets and all kinds of things. And then the pandemic hits.
Yeah. What's funny was 2020 was actually supposed to be our year that we were really focusing on pop-ups. And the first pop-up that we had that year was right when everything shut down. Yep. Like it was like a few days before everything shut down. So I'm sitting at this little boutique out in Morrisville, North Carolina, and one person came in. And I was like, oh, well, this is interesting.
Yep.
Because no one was leaving the house. It was like being out in a ghost town. I don't think I'll ever forget that. It was really weird. So yeah, 2020 was, well, really, really life since the pandemic hit has been really interesting from a business perspective. Like I said earlier, we shoes, which you leave the house, like you're normally not wearing shoes around inside the house. So we made it through a pandemic with a product that requires people to leave the house, and survived, which is kind of amazing. But the last year, one of the killers with being in retail is holding inventory. You normally have a lot of your capital is sitting on a shelf. And your goal with being in retail is essentially what they call like a zero inventory, which is essentially something comes in, hits the shelf, and then leaves immediately. This is very, very, very difficult for this to happen. It basically doesn't happen. The other thing is consumers are really confusing. And there have been times where like would launch a product and we're like, this is going to be killer. Like we're going to sell out in 5 minutes, and then it doesn't. Or other times where we're like, we're really not really super sure about this product. We're going to try it out. We're not holding our breath. And then it flies off the shelf. So it can be just really difficult to know how much to stock so that product isn't just sitting on the shelves, not knowing exactly what's going to work. And so the joke has been, since I started this, every summer we're going out of business. Every single summer we're going out of business because it's the slowest time in retail. Your reserves are dwindling. You're trying to pump up for fall, which is always the busiest time. So you're coming out of your worst time, going into your busiest time. You have no money in the bank. You're trying to build up inventory going into your busy season. And every summer we were going out of business. And every year it'd be like, this is the year. This is the year we're going out of business. And 2020 was really hard. And that summer, my husband basically said, let's get through the end of the year. Then we need to have a come to Jesus talk about whether or not this is worth it to continue.
Yeah.
Because it was just putting such a financial strain on our family. I have made very intentional decisions to not take on any kind of investment for very specific reasons. So we have been self-funded from the beginning. And when you're doing that, you have to be very careful about the decisions that you're making.
Yeah.
Because we don't have millions of dollars just, at our disposal to use. So that summer of 2020, I had been talking to a friend of mine who actually works for a major footwear company. And she was telling me about this other brand. I bring up that she works for a major footwear company just because she's in the industry. She's extremely smart.
Yeah.
And she was like, I see this other brand over here and they're doing like these really limited releases. And she's like, it might just be something to think about with the Root Collective and see. And they were doing, because now things are called drops. When you do it like something quick, something fast, it is not a release. It's not a launch. It is now a drop. So they were doing drops of, I think it was, they'd open it up for 36 hours. And after that, if you don't get in, you got to wait until it comes back. And I was like, dang, that feels super risky. Like that feels really, really, really risky. But we were going out of business.
Yeah.
Again. And I was like, and we were also having supply chain issues with like getting things to us. And I was like, we can't wait on these products. Like if we wait until we actually get it here, it's going to be November, right before Thanksgiving. And you can't launch stuff around that time, at least not successfully. So I was like, okay, we're going to try it. So we did 2 drops back to back. It was actually ended up being a week apart of our Jessie sneaker and our Faith flat. And 36 hours, we're going to bring it back. We just don't know exactly when. So you've got 36 hours. And if you want this shoe, you gotta snag it now. And my jaw was on the ground with how well it did. I mean, my whole team, we were just like, what is happening right now? Like, I don't even understand. Yeah. It just went really, really well. And we're like, well, there might be something to this. Like we've tried pre-orders in the past with just leaving things open in perpetuity, it never really went super well. So I was like, you know what? 2021. No, was that 20? Now I need to see.
I think
that happened in 2021. That was last year. We're in 2022, right?
I know. Because I think it was January of this year that you went.
Yeah. So it was 2021. Sorry. I literally have no idea. Like, what day is it?
No. Yeah. Same. It's fine.
You know, the problem. Yeah. Another problem with working in retail is we're always working ahead.
Yeah.
6 to 12 months. So then I get really confused as to what year we're in. So I'm sorry, this was all 2021. So in January, I was like, okay, well, we're going to try this. We're going to launch everything on limited pre-order, just see how it goes. And this allowed us to do a few things. One was to be able to give people more options, because before it's like, okay, we launch a new shoe. We can launch it in a few colors because we can't take the risk of, launching it in 6, 7 different colors, not knowing what's going to go well. We don't have the capital to do that. So it allowed us to be able to be like, okay, well, we can offer this in 6, 7 different colors, because it's taking the risk off of having to stock all that inventory. And it ended up going really, really well. So Q1 was by far the best quarter we've ever had in the business. And then some things ended up happening this year. Like, I don't know if y'all know, we're kind of in a recession right now.
Yeah.
Or like, it's like I said, business in this day and age, it's like we went from, a couple of years of pandemic to now recession. And, we're still having a fantastic year. So we've really shifted a lot of what we're doing over to a pre-order model. Whenever we launch something new, we're launching it very limited. And we're still keeping in stock items. And, the primary reason why we're doing that is for new customers, because new customers are going to want to be able to buy something and have it at their door within a few days. Our existing customer base is really good at, understanding why we're doing it. And, one of the biggest reasons, honestly, aside from trying to not go out of business, is overproduction in the fashion industry is one of the biggest issues. There are, tons and tons, literal actual tons of clothing that go unsold every year, in the billions, I want to say. And it's an extremely unsustainable way to do business, because, not only from a capital perspective, but where does that stuff go?
Right.
All the stuff that has been overproduced, a lot of times it's ending up in a landfill, and it is completely unsustainable. So really, we want to sit here and make only what we need.
Right.
And that model allows us to do that. So it's giving us more business flexibility. It's helping us stay in business. It's allowing us to be more sustainable. And our customers are really behind it. And I think the thing that's been really interesting too in the last couple of years is a lot more companies are switching to more of a pre-order model, which means consumers are becoming more comfortable with having to wait. And that has always been our issue with pre-order in the past, is people don't want to wait. I mean, we're used to Amazon, right? You order something, it could be at your door that same day. And I think what do they call that? The McDonaldization of society, just this fast food mentality of like, I need it and I want it right now. But I think that, as the slow fashion and the slow living movement is becoming more and more popular, people are just becoming more comfortable with waiting, which is so great on so many levels. I mean, we need to slow down. We're going at an insanely fast pace, and it's not good for anyone.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads me to another question that I wanted to just sort of generally speaking, from when you were on the show in September of 2016, which, we probably would have done the interview in like August of 2016, to now, is there have been so many changes in the fashion industry in general, the ethical fashion world, the fair trade world. I mean, it just looks so different.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, I know from more of a consumer slash, I don't even know how I would describe myself, because I don't own a ethical fashion business, but I interview and talk to a lot of people who are in that realm. I've seen the changes as a consumer and as of an advocate, I guess maybe is the way I would describe it. I mean, I think about, I launched like my ethical brand directory on my website. I launched in the fall of 2015 with 35 businesses. And, as of last count, I think there's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 450 to 500 on there now. And that's in, 7 years, which I'm sure that there are more than that. Those are the ones that I know about. So like that in general there's a much larger movement towards, I really don't love this term, but the conscious consumerism. I don't really know a better way to describe it, even though it's just sounds pretentious. Maybe that's why I don't like it. I need a more chill term. Okay. I don't have one. I don't have an answer. And, but you know what I mean? And so there's definitely more of that movement there. But I'm curious from a brand owner perspective, and I think you addressed some of the things, but what are some of the biggest like overall themes and in talking with other brand owners, other people in the industry, what have been some of the biggest changes you have seen in, 6-7 years?
It's consumer demand.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, well, number one, women are the most powerful people in the world by far, because women control 85% of household budgets. Women are spending 85% of the money in America. We're spending the GDP of other countries, like just in, the stuff that we're buying on a daily basis. And I think that just consumers in general are becoming a lot more aware. We have more information at our fingertips now than we have ever had. And I think that we're just really starting to understand and realize that, like, hey, not everything is what it seems in manufacturing. And, the Rana Plaza collapse in, when was that? 2011?
2013.
2013. I think that was eye-opening. Not that that doesn't still happen, because it does. But unfortunately, I think it takes really horrible things sometimes for us to all of a sudden wake up and start paying attention. In the US, it was the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory.
Oh, is that the one in California?
Might have been California, New York.
Yeah. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
The early 1900s, where there was a factory fire, I want to say, and I don't remember how many, hundreds of women died, and that was what it took for things to start changing in the US with. Yeah. Labor laws and safety laws. So unfortunately, I think it does typically take, some kind of a tragedy for all of a sudden people to start being like, well, crap.
Yeah.
Like something's wrong here.
Yeah.
So when that factory collapse, which I'm sure, your listeners have been with you for a while, they've probably heard about it a bajillion times.
Yeah.
But thousands of people died. And, I think for consumers, it was kind of this wake up of like, wow, like these are the people who are making the stuff that I wear. And if I continue buying from those brands, I'm literally contributing to people dying so that I can have a cute shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to specifically women and, how we're spending our money, like your money makes such a difference, and where you spend it is telling companies what's important to you.
Right.
So I think there's been this really big shift of consumers really wanting and demanding more ethical and sustainable options. And that's come also as a kind of a two-edged sword too, because then you've got, companies like H&M who they just got their wrist massively slapped recently because they're putting out their Conscious collection, which was, essentially a load of crap.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I was watching from the beginning and I'm like, I cannot believe people are not picking up on this, that this is not what it is. Like, it's not what they're saying it is. This is not ethical. It's not sustainable. It's none of those things. So you are seeing some of that, but you're seeing a lot more brands pop up that are like legitimately really trying to do things in a better way, because they were also once consumers who, are seeing that like, hey, things need to be done better. And because other consumers are really demanding a better way of doing business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too that there's, I say that all the time, is that your money talks, and you see that when businesses respond. And I love even, companies like Target are starting to make massive changes, and honestly, like their fair trade denim for women is fantastic. And I actually they have fair trade denim for men now too. And
really?
Yes. And John needed some new jeans, and I was like, let's go to Target first. And he was like, really? Target? And I was like, hey, they got fair trade denim now, and it's great. And honestly, my fair trade Target jeans are better than some of my like designer ones. So I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm throwing that out there. But yes, I mean, and that begins to set a standard, is because then other companies are like, well, if Target is doing it,
right,
then I'm going to have to catch up.
Yeah.
And so I really love that. And I agree, the consumer demand and I think the other shift that I have noticed as well is consumers understanding better why ethical or fair trade goods cost more.
Mm-hmm.
Which there's still a long and big learning curve for that. But I have seen improvements in that area. And there have been some companies that have come out and explained why things cost more. Able was the first one that I think really kind of set a very unique standard, in that they published exactly their wages for people in their supply chains. And I thought that was really bold and brave, and that people were in their feelings about it. There was some people that thought it was great and some people that really hated it. But I thought it was an interesting way to educate on why things are priced the way they are. And you guys are starting to move a little bit in that direction. So you guys published a graphic. I don't know if it was just in the Root Collective Facebook group or if it's been put elsewhere. It's on the website too. So if you're interested in seeing this, you can go to therootcollective.com and see this. But walk us through this and why you decided to do it. And for those that haven't seen it, kind of break it down for us.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing this for years of publishing our pricing breakdown. I have always been very hesitant to do it for a few reasons. First off is when you live in America or any country, you put pricing in terms of what your economy is.
Right.
And so we've always been afraid to publish things like that, like here's how much we're actually paying to our artisans, because we need people to understand what that local economy is there. So that's always been a huge hesitation there. Is I was afraid of people coming and pushing back and being like, well, how can you be paying that much? And it's like, well, because this is Guatemala, where the cost of living and, you know, everything is extremely different than if you're living here in California or New York or North Carolina, wherever.
Different. Very different.
I don't care where you are. It's going to be very different. So we just published last week. I was like, you know, we're going to do it, because one of the things that is very difficult as a brand owner is when people sit there and complain about how expensive your product is. And especially when you have very low markup. So this graphic, basically, it shows you exactly what all of our costs are. It shows you what our material costs are, what our labor costs are, what our shipping costs are, packaging, like all the things that it does not include are our marketing cost, any of our overhead, our staff wages. So we don't directly employ the artisans that we work with very much on purpose, because we want to be able to uplift local business owners who actually live in these communities and know their communities. So we don't directly employ, we partner as a very intentional and strategic way of doing business. So it doesn't include any of our other costs. This is literally how much does it cost to get the product from, you know, the various pieces into a finished product in our hands. We break it all down to you. And our average markup is between 2 and 3 times. So if something costs $10, we're selling it for somewhere between 20 and 30. Normal markup, we say on our graphic, normal markup is 4 to 6 times. And I actually think we're going to go back and fix that and say between 4 and 12, because that is actually more accurate. I actually know of other fair trade brands who are marking up 10 to 12 times over their cost, which is, I mean, good for them if that they're able to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way that we can do that, because we would be completely priced out of the market. So we really wanted people to understand the cost of making things ethically, and also understand this is one of the big things. We are not in this to get rich.
Right.
We are not in this to get rich. I don't think I will ever forget. We had somebody reach out to us once, basically saying, I'm arguing with a friend of mine who's basically saying, essentially, you're stepping on the backs of the poor in order to make a lot of money. And I'm like, Yeah, no, like if I was out working a corporate job as the CEO of the company, I would be making 2 or 3 times as much as I'm making.
Yeah. At least.
At least.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want people to understand the cost of doing things right and the cost of doing things well. And we're not perfect by any stretch. Like we know that, but we really felt like this was a step in, just giving more business transparency, which is one of the biggest things that is missing in the business world.
Yeah, no, that's so good. And just so valuable that because education goes a long way. And without that, people are often going to have those conversations about, well, why is this so expensive? And, and one of the things that I try to educate people on too is when you're buying something that is handcrafted with high quality materials, like your cost per wear, the longevity of that is going to be so far beyond anything you ever buy, at a big box retailer. Wow. Retailer.
We're recording this on a Monday, y'all.
We are. And it is, English is a hard language. But I mean, I think, for example, my Espe boots, which are now, let's see, when did you launch the Espe? Was that 2016?
Probably. Yeah. I would say it was 2016.
So I got the very first pair of Espe boots. And I still own that pair. I wore them to church yesterday. So they are at least 6 years old. They are by far my most worn pair of boots. In fact, let's just, what is a fun thing that I'm going to just do right now. So I have an app that y'all don't judge me or make fun of me. Actually, I don't care at all. But I have an app called Cladwell. In fact, I've had the founder of Cladwell here on the show before, and I can input everything in my closet and I can track like how much I have worn something. And I have used the app for years and years and years, but about, I think 4.5 years ago, they changed to like where you could like track, it would save how much you've worn things. So I've been using the app for longer than this, but so for at least 4.5 years. So I can see that I have worn these boots 227 times.
Wow.
In 4 years, which I own them for longer than that. So it's going to be more than that. So, I mean, if the original pair of boots cost what, 200 at the time, they were probably like $220 or something like that. I mean, at this point, it's at least $1 a wear, if not, what I mean? If not less than that. And, a couple of years ago, the soles were worn out because I've worn them so much. I took them to a cobbler. Did you know the cobblers still exist? It's not just apple pie or peach, but there are shoe cobblers who repair your shoes. And so they put a new sole on the bottom. They polished that leather right up and they looked brand stinking new. The other day I had realized, because it's been summertime on the farm, like I haven't worn boots in a while, but the fall temperatures are here now. And so I hadn't worn my Espe boots since probably like last March. And they were in our shoe bin in my garage, and the shoe bin in the garage gets dusty and dirty and nasty. And so I was like, oh crap. So I pull the boots out and they were dirty. Just from sitting in the shoe bin for a few months. I dusted them off. I washed the soles. I got some leather conditioner out, and like they looked brand new. And you cannot, the reality is that is much more difficult to have a pair of, cute booties from even Target last that long. It just is very difficult. Because also when you buy a pair of shoes that is well made, is handcrafted, you can take it to a cobbler to repair. Whereas like you're not going to take a $20 pair of boots to a cobbler and pay $20 to get them repaired. You're not going to do that. So that education and showing people like why this is worth it is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. Well, we are almost out of time. And we've got to get to the get to know you round, ask some fun questions. But before we do that, what is on the horizon for the Root Collective, and what are some of your dreams and visions as you're going into the next year and we're, getting close to 2023?
Good Lord. It's crazy, isn't it?
It is.
yeah, we still have some fun stuff coming out this fall yet. So, if you are not following us, you're probably going to want to do that.
Yeah.
It's been really fun in the last year to really start branching out into new styles that we've not really done either at all before or haven't done much, which is also really interesting because we're working in a country that doesn't have a ton of resources. So like with soles and stuff like that, we're literally figuring out how to make this stuff. And again, I'm not a shoemaker.
Yeah.
So like, to like partner with these people and be like, okay, how do we do this?
Yeah.
Here's the end result of what we want to get to. How do we get there? So we want to continue really doing more of that. And, we're e-commerce. We are starting now that the world is open back up again, we are starting to do more things like pop-ups, which has been fun to do. But we're really looking for like, what are some new and fun and different things that we can do to be innovative and, to really build community. Cause that's where our heart is. Like I say all the time, like we're a people company that happens to do shoes, and, that goes outside of our makers and into our customers here who a lot of them have become family. Yeah. I mean, you and I never would have met had it not been for this business. And I would say a lot of my really close friends were customers first.
So for all you adults out there who are like, how do I make friends in my 30s and 40s? It is start a business. And
pretty much
to start a business. There's your answer.
Start a business. So we're looking at, new, how can we do things new? How can we do things differently? Like I said, we're getting into some new and different styles. And so that's where our sights are. In 2023, we're looking to be able to expand even more, because again, like we want to provide jobs, and the business has to grow in order to do that. So yeah, that's where our heart is. We're looking to do some more collaborations. We're going to start getting back into doing live sales, which we haven't done in years. So we've got a lot boiling right now.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. All right, friend. Well, now is the portion of the show where we change gears just a little bit and get to know you. Question number 1. What is something in the last year or this summer that has been really memorable or has made a lasting impact on you?
I'm going to say, this is going to be funny. We did a pop-up with one of my best friends. She owns a shop called New Creation up in Harrisonburg.
Yeah, she's been on the show before.
Yeah, she is. She's one of my besties. And I have a lot of anxiety with in-person events, which is funny. I'm like, nobody's going to show up. They're going to ask me questions that I can't answer. And it was just such a fun night. And again, this was what? February 2022, which 2 years after COVID hit, but like still people weren't really going out and doing stuff much. And like people were pouring in that whole night.
That's
and
so awesome.
I think it was just such a reminder that like, people just still really need and want community in this digital age where we're behind a screen, we're connecting, with people through social media, but people really want and crave that in-person connection. And it was really it was such a fun night. And it was so fun seeing people come out and support a local business, and also come out and support us. I was able to be there in person, and it was such a fun night.
I love that. That's a great answer. That is a great answer. Okay. Question number 2 is, of all of your pet peeves, which one is the strangest?
I have a lot of pet peeves.
Not at all.
I really hate when people misuse phrases like, I could care less. Okay, why don't you? Like, please, go ahead and care. Like the phrase is, I couldn't care less.
Oh, yeah.
Not I could care. Like if you're going to use a phrase like that, like you have to get it correct, because otherwise you sound like you don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Really annoys me.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. What was your favorite TV show to watch growing up?
Oh gosh, growing up. So I grew up with no cable. And when I say no cable, I'm talking, we had like bunny ears in the attic. We had an antenna. We had nothing. And I'm pretty sure, well, at home, okay, I'm going to give you a 2-part answer because that was at home. My grandparents had cable. At home, we'd watch Little House on the Prairie.
Love it. Love it.
Who didn't watch Little House on the Prairie growing up in the 80s and 90s? At my grandparents' house, I'm going to say it was DuckTales.
DuckTales. My kids love DuckTales.
Yeah.
It's good. Good answer.
I didn't know it was still around.
Good answer. Good answer. All right. Last question is, Bethany, what does it mean to you to run a business with purpose?
To me, it means leaving the world better than I found it.
I love it. You're just amazing. You're such a gift to me and to so many others. And I'm so thankful for you. And thank you for being here and for sharing your wisdom and your updates. And I can't wait till you get to be a part of the 3-timers club. We won't wait 6 years though. So
Let's not. I need my velvet jacket, and then we have to figure out what we'll get for the 3-timers club.
Yeah. It's probably velvet shoes.
I can help you with that.
Yes. All right. We're on it. Okay, friend. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I love Bethany so much. What a dear, what a delight she is. She's the best. I knew you guys would love her. And I would love to know what you loved about this episode. Maybe something you learned. Will you let us know on social media? You can find me at Still Being Molly or at Business with Purpose Podcast, wherever you get your social medias. And would you go to the podcast app of your choice, wherever you're listening to this, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever. And would you click that subscribe or follow button? And would you take a moment to leave a review? It just really helps us out here at the show. It is totally free for you and just really helps the show to grow and to get more people listening. As always, I want to thank the incredible team at Third Wheel Media for producing the show. And I want to thank you for listening. Now go do something good with purpose on purpose.